Hello, dear speakers, and welcome, dear viewers. It's such a pleasure to be here today. My name is Irina Litchfield, and I'm a guest host. I'm a guest host, and usually Kyle Ellicott would be the host for us. And it is such a pleasure to be able to do this here with you today. As you know, VCTV is a platform that connects investors all over the world and really provides a real-time value to investors and entrepreneurs. So it's just so great to see new faces often, and let's just go ahead and dive in. Today we will be talking about media, advertising, and entertainment. In the current world of what we're experiencing right now, I think that those three aspects, some of them are really, some aspects are really hurting in those industries, but in the same time, it opens up a lot of interesting opportunities. And so that's exactly what we'll talk today about, is what are those opportunities and what are those pain points that are in the industry. But before we start into the questions, I would love for our speakers to introduce themselves. So Jose, I would love to start with you. Could you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Irina. So happy to be here today on your show, and very happy to contribute to this event today. Well, my name is Jose. I've been a serial entrepreneur now for more or less like 40 years. You've been in different industries, from consumer products, entertainment, up to chemicals, aviation, and the last 20 years more or less in technology. I've been in business angel for more or less like 26 years. I had a business angels club for a few years, and I was also a VC for 3 years. The issue is that I love much more being an entrepreneur than I love being an investor, and the reason is because building something up, for me, it's much more exciting than just taking part in a certain stage later on, and that's the reason why I prefer that option. So yes, I think this is it in a nutshell. Today, I'm working on some very exciting software technology with artificial intelligence and machine learning, which is basically trying to solve a very global, big problem, which is business inclusion, and that's what I'm doing. Thank you, Irina.
Thank you so much. It's interesting what you're saying, because it's true. Often people think that, being an investor is fun, and it can be, but the rewards as being that high intensity decision making you constantly have to make with evolving your business, and which is one entity. With entrepreneurship, I think it's so interesting. That's what I love about kind of this new way that we're seeing, to where investors are also getting involved in kind of working with startups, right? They're becoming more involved. It's not just the stupid money anymore, and nobody wants stupid money anymore for the most part. And so anyhow, I think that that's great. And I know that you're doing that you're an entrepreneur and an investor, and thank you for that. Nicole, would you introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, hi, good morning from San Francisco. It's a delight to be with you all today. Well, I wear many different hats. I love hats. And it's a great metaphor for my life, because I get involved in a lot of different things. I am also an entrepreneur and investor. On the entrepreneurial side, I've definitely been a senior officer in a number of companies, and raised, almost, $500 million for companies. I also have right now a marketing consultancy where we're outsourced CMOs, chief marketing officers, and that's applicable to what we're talking about today, just because I've been seeing and participating in a lot of the trends in and around media and advertising and brand development and whatnot, and continue to build brands for large and medium and occasionally well-funded small companies. So that's that side of things. On the investor side of things, I am an advisor and founding LP of a new fund that is called How Women Invest. And we are investing in female-founded businesses and female-led businesses. And the whole objective there is to really just kind of shake up, bring more women into the investing side, as well as support for the founders. And so with How Women Invest, we have a firm which educates people on investing for the first time. So there's coursework, educational work on becoming an angel investor. And a lot of the people that went through that program invested in our fund for the first time. So it's really a delight to empower women to, take on their wealth, and also to feed into the whole ecosystem of funding these female founded and led businesses, because as you probably all know, those numbers are just statistically horrendous. With one female founder, it's about 11% of the businesses that are funded. And then, these are all pitch book numbers. And then it's gone down to 1.8% of those that are solely female founded are getting funded. So we've really got to, look at the greater ecosystem, the LPs, the VCs, the angel investors, the family offices, the female founders, to kind of bring some light there. And I have a long-time history of helping to market funds and portfolio companies so that they all float and rise to the top. So looking forward to our conversation today.
That's so great. Thank you so much for sharing it. I think it's interesting too, because as women investors, we think differently. And I think it adds a lot to the companies, because when we invest, we kind of can bring our wisdom to them. And by extent, in some ways, we have an impact on the company, even if they do not have female leaders on the team, just because if you female investor brings a big diversity to the company and knowledge. And I think that as an effect, often they realize that they need to have an internal executive that is a female, because the timing of an investor is limited, to say the least. So I really appreciate you doing that and dedicating your life and your thesis of how you do everything in empowering and making sure the message is there. It's so important. Thank you, Nicole. Lubina, yes? Lubna. Because I remember I practiced, and I promise I'll get it best. I'm so terrible.
Right? Is it Irina?
Yes.
Yeah, but because we're matching Irina, Lubina, but it's Lubna.
Lubna, yes. Thank you. Lubna, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Lubna Dajani. I loved what you were saying, Nicole, earlier about women investors, or even and women entrepreneurs. Having been for a long time in technology, so my background is in systems analysis and design. So I was an early on interested in where technology systems enable and affect human systems and cultural systems, and the way it changes the way we interact with each other and even ourselves, as a horizontal enabler. So and I, as a forward thinker in technology, as a woman in starting my career in telecom and media, so media, entertainment, and technology and telecom, you can imagine the space for a woman was nearly non-existent, especially on the engineering side of the house. So I definitely want to take your course, Nicole, myself as well. And we need to talk about that fund that I definitely need to look into it some more, because some of the work that we're working on now is, and I'm very much excited to hear from others about, but we're setting up a fund as well, where we can empower not just particularly women, but really not just the youth in going into technology, but women for culture and for cultural regeneration, and for bridging the wisdom of indigenous the gifts of environments, of communities, and echoing it through the rings of society. Um, in the, we all, I think, know that at the end of the day, the burden falls on the woman or the mother, and not that we want to just focus only on females, or it's women versus men. It's that feminine energy that's been missing, and just to have balance in motion. I say, to get to equilibrium, we really need to focus on, which is why we need to focus on women and empowering. And in many cases, it doesn't take a whole lot or a huge investment. So what we're looking at is investments that would empower women to be able to achieve regeneration for their own, within their own family, within their own community, that enables us to have sustainable well-being. Yeah, so I'm very excited to just be on this call today with all of you.
Of course, and it's such a pleasure to have you. I really appreciate that you said regenerative. Often we talk about sustainability, and I do believe that it's one of the faults that people don't understand, that we already live in the systems that we built a while ago to be sustainable. And we must assume that what we're doing now, if it's going to be sustainable, it will prevent us from progress and regeneration and regenerative systems and designs, not just from regenerative farming to solve our water, food, and air problems, but also regenerative systems design and architecture, whether it is hardware or software. So I appreciate you saying that so much.
We're talking across the layers of as an individual, regenerative for the individual, the community / society, and most importantly, then it's planetary regeneration with a contextual relevance to geography. So we'll say it's time zone sensitive rather than
regeneration is just something that I think if we learn to adapt into our systems can benefit us now and in the future. Thank you so much for sharing it. And last but not least, Sunmeet. What a beautiful name. Oh my goodness. I just see the sun and sunrise and these beautiful colors, and they all, I mean, Sunmeet. What a gift your parents gave you. Wow. So could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Irina. Thank you for having me today. My name is Sunmeet Jolly, and I am here in San Francisco Bay Area in San Jose, California. Been in Silicon Valley for last 20 years in the high technology industry. And for last few years, I've been doing angel investing in technology startups. I have 40 startups in my portfolio. And as you know, for startups, the only way to gain their customers, especially the consumer ones, is by way of digital advertising and iteration before they can really have funds to go on national TV or etc. But for starting up incrementally, you know, so I am very, very interested in digital advertising and how it helps the startup ecosystem grow. I'm also a founder of the Grotu app. This is a project I've been working on for a few years now, and we have a US patent granted for this and international patents in progress. This is a collection of productivity tools for friends and family social networking, private social networking, to plan trips, events, chat, share expenses. So kind of like a mini ERP system for friends and family in private. No boosting, no hashtags, no broadcasting yourself. At least till now, no, only a group of tools which commonly friends and family would use to plan their trips, events, share expenses, etc. So Grotu, check out Grotu on www.grotu.com. That's my entrepreneurial initiative. And because it's a consumer app, and now we have around 29,000 downloads, still bootstrapped, but we are raising a first round now. I am advertising myself. So I am advertising on Google, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, any platform where I can get consumers from. So I'm trying out everything, including TikTok now as well. And our monetization, part of the monetization in GrowTo app is also via ads. So we have partnership with Google AdMob. So when you use the free version of GrowTo, you will see ads, interstitial as well as banner ads. So that's where my contribution to this panel will be, on digital advertising side.
Thank you. And digital advertising now became kind of really the only way we can advertise, right? I think it really, what we're experiencing right now, I think is just amazing, right? When we think about media and advertising, there's this amazing way of being able to distribute it virtually. However, now there's just no way to do that in person whatsoever. And when we look at entertainment now, for entertainment, that's a big challenge, right? As we're getting deeper into isolation, it is becoming clear that virtual entertainment, while it fits a lot of kind of key needs for us, we still need that in-person entertainment. We need to be able to feel the music. We need to be able to experience entertainment, whether it's arts or music or whatever it is. We need to be able to experience it in groups live. We need to be able to share that experience while we are there. And with that, that's exactly the question I would like to ask you guys. How do you think we will see that progress, right? So other tools that you are seeing that will allow us to bring back entertainment to people in a way that works. And Jose, I would love for you to kind of start with that.
Okay, so obviously there's a big shift going on in many areas, including entertainment, advertising, and everything else. So let's look at entertainment to start with that. So the entertainment industry basically is still producing contents constantly. The only difference is that the way how we get those contents to us. And in the past, you had you didn't have many options. You would just look at your TV screen. You could zap from here to there, but that's basically it. You were limited to an X amount of channels. And nowadays, it changed quite a lot because let me put it like this. Today, you can have 24-hour entertainment without any advertising, zero, right? As long as you pay for it, you pay a fixed amount fee every month, and you can access whatever you want. And I think that's a big advantage to move on forward. Not good for the advertising industry, but I think in most cases, a lot of people were just forced to see those advertising on TV that were badly targeted, that they didn't want to have. Now, today you can have entertainment on your smartphone, on your laptop, on your tablet, you name it, right? So, but where I see the big breakthrough is in the new housing. So the housing today, as we have, is really not the best. And certainly not the best for us to have a permanent lifestyle, let's say 7 days a week in-house without going out. Our houses are built for us to sleep, more or less, and to stay there for, let's say, 8 hours a day, maybe 12, and in the weekends. But they were never thought out that we would have to stay in-house, all this time, including, let's say, doing some sports, So how are you going to do it? If you have a couple that works in-house and wants to see different types of entertainment, what are you going to do, right? Are you going to get into separate rooms? Are you going to stay in the living room? So there's a lot of things that, in my opinion, is going to change, especially in the housing. There is quite a big challenge how you're going to get in the future your entertainment in-house, and I would leave it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great question. I mean, and you want different spaces, right? Because you kind of want to be able to simulate it. Now, of course, this is important and will be relevant if our isolation continues for a long time. If it doesn't, when vaccine comes, we all go back to normal. And I do believe that the kind of in-person entertainment is going to be one of the most profitable things to do. And with that, I would love for entrepreneurs and for investors and for you guys to consider also looking at the kind of an outdoor, new modern gathering places for entertainment that are building into their design something that doesn't just work for today, but for the future as well, within thought that, you know, how if we experience this again, or when we experience this again, maybe it's 100 years, maybe it's 500 years, maybe 1,000 or whatever, right? We have this space that allows people to still continue their life, at least in some norms, and continue providing that entertainment. And I see a lot of investments and a lot of developments in that real estate. So I think the reason I'm saying it, Jose, is that I think it's what you're saying is so relevant. And then also the venues and the real estate and the homes and the way we design is changing. And there's huge opportunities in that. And what about you, Sanmeet? How do we use digital technology to empower digital marketing, right? To empower that journey back to in-person entertainment?
Well, statistics now are saying that people are spending more than 5 hours on their smartphone every day. In some geographies, in COVID, around 8 to 10 hours. So a lot of entertainment is becoming smaller, bite-sized, and for the phone, right? So you've seen TikTok just take on, 15-second, 60-second videos. People can just skip what they don't like. YouTube was always such a successful platform. It allowed hour-long videos or even more, or as small as 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and pretty much the birth of media serving started with YouTube. And Facebook is also now moving. Facebook and Instagram have been moving into videos. So user-generated content is taking over, and with people getting more skills in using their phone cameras and creating stuff, we are empowering billions of people now to become creators, right? So that content cannot be ignored. There is production content. In fact, Quibi's shutting down was such amazing learning for everybody in Silicon Valley, that it's a production level, production quality content from Hollywood. And why couldn't it succeed when TikTokers and YouTubers and Instagrammers are so successful? So I think we need to understand that shift a bit. The power is shifting. The content creation and content serving power is shifting more towards creator entrepreneurs sitting anywhere in the world. If you're a good dancer, if you're a good actor, you could just lip sync on TikTok videos now. Just see how this, and advertising goes where user attention is, right? So as advertiser, I was waiting for TikTok to put up their self-serve ad platform. Last holidays, it was not available to me. This holiday, it's available to me. So I'm advertising now on TikTok as well, besides YouTube and Instagram. So I think we need to respect the fact that there is only user attention is only so much. And that user attention is now being spread between user-generated content and production-generated content. So those are the trends that we are seeing. And advertisers will go wherever they get attention and clicks, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting what you're saying. It's definitely, as we're spending more time with our screens, our attention bandwidth is shrinking. And that's true for a younger generation, and it's also true for the older generation as well. So it's interesting to think about, and what kind of effects does it really bring to our concentration and development and ability to pay attention to things for longer than 90 seconds. But that's a different subject. I do appreciate it so much that we have this democratization of expression of the talent now. And as you said, lip syncing And who's to say that it's not an awesome thing to show your talent, to be all, whatever, lip syncing to somebody's song? It's awesome. If people want to watch it, let them. And it's kind of a democratization of opportunities of talent, and that's so beautiful. So thank you for sharing and bringing. Yeah.
Yes, sorry to interrupt, but one more thing which I did not mention was the augmented reality content. If you look at Snapchat now, it lets you use augmented reality to create character out of yourself using AI. And that, if you combine, I've done some TikToks where I did a AR using Snapchat and created some character out of myself and then lip synced it to some TikTok, and it created a wonderful piece in 20 minutes. So AR, augmented reality, entering this user creativity is going to be huge.
I should try to do that, and then I'll post it. Right.
You could become Donald Trump and say anything and lip sync on a video. So,
yeah. Yes. Thank you for adding that. Nicole, you are, the messaging and marketing and communication, and that ability to be able to express that which is important and that which provides value and that which you want to do. I think that that's really kind of the marketing, right? Connecting one side to the other. What is your perspective of what's happening in marketing now? Because we do have quite a bit of change, and I've noticed that a lot of marketing firms are not really well adapting to the new reality. So if you could share some of your wisdom with that, and maybe some opportunities that are associated with that.
Sure. My pleasure. Yeah, it's interesting. It is a time for reinvention. And it's a time for reinvention of self and reinvention of brands, and also what is it that we mean to our audiences. And so I feel very fortunate that I have a little bit of an ability to adapt very quickly. I do, my firm Outfront Solutions, we have a expertise in crisis communications, and that's all about adapting, understanding the audience and the stakeholders' needs, and then course correcting to make sure that you're addressing those. Basically, that's also the life of a startup. So we have a lot of companies and brands coming to us saying, whoa, we need to reinvent ourselves and our brand. But what I'm really interested in and tying this all together is that I love how machine learning and AI are dramatically changing marketing. And so we are at my firm offering chatbots and as these really important marketing tools from the standpoint that marketers can now so much more easily gain macro insights and deeply micro insights and mannerisms of audiences and understanding them to a very deep degree. And so, there's a statistic that about 60% of companies are going to be using AI for driving digital revenue. And so what's required is to truly understand your audience. So I'm looking at things like predictive analytics and forecasting and, audience hyper segmentation and persona research and psychographic building, dynamic personalized ad serving, content recommendations, really being smart and connected in the ways in which we use technology. And the last thing that I'll say is that's not technology oriented, and I've heard Lubna mention this and Jose and Sanmeet too, is that operating within communities is more important than ever. Communities are trusted environments where we are values aligned, and we're living in a time where we haven't been trusting our governments, we haven't been trusting organizations, but we do trust communities. And so I think coming together in community marketing and collaborating within community is only going to continue to be really important to be that sort of analog way of connecting, because we still need to connect human to human. I mean, I'm a techie nerd all day long, but I'm also seeing and feeling the general, gestalt of these times, and that is the need for human connection. So yeah, it's kind of fun times in a lot of ways, because we get to reinvent and really look at how is it that we best serve our audiences.
Absolutely. These are such a great points. Thank you. As you were saying this, so many things were happening in my mind, about the companies and everything that needs to be done, just because like you said, marketing is that outreach of the message. And it's, we always constantly have to think about it. How does it adapt? How does it change? And how do we change with that? Because we simply must. Right, we have to constantly adapt and readapt. And Lubna, what is your perspective of how do we build regenerative designs in advertising, marketing, and entertainment?
So I think no different than ever, we need to think about the experiences we're creating. I think first and foremost.
Could you speak up? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I think more than ever, but no different than ever before, we need to focus on the experiences we're creating with the services or the technology we're applying, or anything else that we're doing, and the field of effect of it, intended or unintended. And advertising obviously has a quite a powerful role to play in influencing people. I think this is a very powerful time indeed. It's a fun time, and it's a powerful time. We are living in a time that we've anticipated, but we are in the middle of a genesis, a creation of the rise. I mean, we are about to lose, not in the not too distant future, in the coming years, the last generation of people that existed or that knew life without TV. And it won't be long before that we're life without computers. I mean, even at my age, I don't know life without computers. So society is changing drastically, and technology is adding a technology's impact is an exponential. It's not like a small multiplier or a traditional evolution. It is an enormous multiplier, because its effect, especially information communication technology, accelerates, changes the way we interact with each other, but also how we advance across all the fields of science and engineering. And therefore, with this hyper-connectedness and access to all those wealths of knowledge that were siloed before, we are capable of making quantum leaps. And so we have an obligation now to be very cognizant of where we're going and the field effect of what we're doing. So I anticipate, I totally agree. We can't be all digital. The people that think we're going to swing to all online, I mean, we've had video telephony for like 30 years, and we were dead against it until here we are. We think it's a mental adoption. And I think, but we are social beings, that we need this physical touch. So analog we can't go away. If we does, then we have the worst thing that can happen. We become the Borg, no personality, no original thought, which is, I fear sometimes is the direction we're going. But I believe that we will have a lot more of hybrid types of existence. We are already living in a hybrid existence. We just don't realize that we are, as much to the extent that we rely on our digital self. The quality of your physical life, I don't care if anybody says that we are innocent until proven guilty. You are guilty until you've proven yourself innocent, if you're compromised in the digital realm. Anybody who's had identity theft would know that. We have also the most powerful technologies. AI is an enormously powerful technology. I mean, we've had it for quite some time, but to the extent, especially when you combine the compute power of artificial intelligence together with the power of behavioral psychology. And these are the things that are being combined at I mean, we've always used behavioral and psychology and game mechanics, but when you combine the two together with the power of AI and the reach of 5G and beyond, 6G and what have you, and when every cell in your body can be connected, and when every thought you make, you have no idea if it's even your own thought or is the byproduct of a recommendation or influence, because we are using technology and science to influence your thoughts, your behaviors, to monitor, to map you out. And that's not a conspiracy theory, that's the reality. And that's how we've made money in digital marketing and advertising. So what we really need to be very cognizant of the kind of messaging and how we're manipulating people's thinking. So there's two ways of empathic AI is mostly being used, either to understand you really well, so I can convince you that you need something that you never even knew existed, let alone or wanted or needed, or to make you feel that the bot we've created is empathic to you and is hearing you out and feels you and wants to support you. And we need to start extending the individual's capacity. But I think to actually recognize their own edges, their digital edge and their own preferences or what have you. But I think immersive technologies, as my fellow panelists have mentioned, when you combine them together with the fact that we are definitely all becoming attention deficit, content is being created in a distributed fashion, and it will be highly, I think, the immersive of being in and out of your physical and digital. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. I'm going to stop now. My point, we must be very responsibly and aware of the impact of the decisions we're making and how we can use the power of media today.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, emotional intelligence is still the number one linked factor to the satisfaction of human in their life experience. It's a number one factor. Okay, now success is persistence and perseverance, but they don't always line up, right? Just because you're successful doesn't mean that you are happy, that you are satisfied with your life. And it's that emotional intelligence. And interestingly, emotional intelligence is gained through the interactive, right? The experiences. And of course it's guided, and there's all different, if it's positive emotional experiences, negative emotional experience, but it is that emotional intelligence and emotional fitness is the key for that as well. And what I love about the integrative technology now, and I really appreciate that you were saying that we kind of need to bring that better consciousness into the design of our system. There is such a thing as transformative technology. For example, shameless plug, we're going to be holding an in-person gathering next weekend, and it's called ARA Global. It's a gathering for thought leaders. So thought leaders are going to be traveling to the ranch in Texas and connecting and making sure we integrate, to co-create, go back to our right to gather and to network in person and to do all that magic. But also we're including emotional fitness technologies, for example, Lucid Lights and Opus and VR that actually stimulate, you play VR through your breathing and you experience different things, which allows you to really connect to your emotional intelligence. Now, those things are technology based, right? So technology allows us to experience instant transcendental meditation. What does that mean? It releases all these feel-good hormones in our bodies, allows us to release the stress and move on. You can have this session for that in 5 minutes. It can change the way you perceive life and you perceive yourself, right? All technology. However, we still must connect together. And I thought of Gary right away, emotional AI. And we are moving toward it, and it is important, and it's beautiful that the world is getting to it. And I just thought, quantum-driven emotion and AI, right? How does it look? It could be scary because also we do not know very well about emotions. We still are learning about how we work, right? So if we unleash the data into AI through quantum, what kind of a programming will it have on us? So I do think that as we move into the technology adoption, we're going to move into much stronger need to make sure that we anchor together. And I do believe that we're, for that, in the future, are building now and investing in that, which is a hybrid experience, right? Where you can have your tech, but then you also make sure you connect, at least on a community level. So now I would like to, we have 20 minutes, so we have one more round of quick questions and then we'll do the closing thoughts. What are the best opportunities for the investments are you seeing right now? So what advice would you tell kind of to look at for the investors? And for entrepreneurs, I think it's important is because if you're thinking about what you would like to build and you know that media, entertainment, and advertising is something that you have a call for, keep ears open, because put a pitch deck and see if you have an idea for that solution. So Sanmeet, would you share kind of a most recent best opportunities and investments that you are seeing as of recent?
Yes. So I like the fact that you touched upon human connection and the importance of spending time with people and interacting in person with people. In fact, that is the motivation behind Grow2 app. Out of our 5 main features that we have patented, integrated features, one is a potluck planner, which enables people to actually create potluck parties and meet in person and decide who's bringing what to the party. And then we have chat and photos, which is kind of like a offline, how to plan stuff, as well as then photo sharing after an event. And then we have the expense management, which is enabling our groups to meet more frequently. Me and my friends go for tennis every weekend, and then we go and spend some money on breakfast and all, and then we see movies together. And in a pre-COVID and a post-COVID world, our interaction and group activities, group travel, picnics, etc., potlucks were facilitated by this app. We did a trip to Scotland and London with 9 of my friends from all over the world, college friends. And technology is in a way also getting us together. These chat groups like WhatsApp groups and WeChat groups and Messenger groups, they're also bringing us together. But the reason for Grow2 was to also additionally add some tools where you can actually physically meet and create those moments that you'll be planning on a chat or later on discussing in a chat or sharing photos about. So yes, technology can also help us get together. And that's what we are seeing. If you spend 10 hours only chatting, that's probably not good for you. But if you spend, say, a few hours chatting and then arrange a tennis with your tennis group and go out and play with them, and then later on share photos with them, you have a more healthy and interactive life. So technology can be used either ways. That's what I can tell my children. Don't just go out and meet those people, go play with them. Have more events and trips. And that's what Grow2's motivation is. More events, more group travel, better life.
Yeah, absolutely. And is it live now? Can I use it right now?
Oh yes, we have 29,000 downloads already, 15,000 users.
So it's open, it's not to the closed network.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay,
We have
amazing. I'm going to go check it out.
Yes. Yeah. It's available worldwide. We have a global currency converter if you are traveling across like a multi-country trip with your friends. You could just have expenses in any currency, and Grow2 will do the rest for you.
That's great. Thank you so much. And Jose, what about you? What kind of the top opportunities that you're seeing in these 3 aspects of the world?
I would like to pick up, because that's where the opportunity lies, where Lubna left. I thought that her speech was very motivating. And also Nicole had a very valid point. So where I see the big opportunities is as follows. So we are working on what we call today behavior advertising and behavior technology. And that has all to do with the fact that in every 2 human beings, there is 1 woman and 1 man. So unfortunately, it's a case that, even in government and in leading positions and in corporations, the percentage of women is, in my opinion, still very undervalued. It should be much higher. And I would even dare to say it should be more or less like 50-50, ideally. it's not by accident that nature makes these things like a man and a woman and a couple, right? So those things should also reflect in the let's say in the organizations that we have, because at the end, those organizations serve 50% of women and 50% of men, right? Now, with that behavior itself, okay, comes a very important thing, which is what we say it's lifestyle. So what we say, which is the, let's say what we are, right, and what we want to experience is in essence a lifestyle. And that lifestyle is different for everybody. So advertising, what we are doing today is first we are doing like, we gather a lot of your behaviors, like your business behavior, if you have that, your financial behavior, your buying behavior, right? And also your interests, which is also a behavior. Now, if you combine that, you come up with a certain lifestyle, okay? And then that lifestyle, what you do is you target advertising to that lifestyle, right? So I think that's the most important thing, because then you have a huge opportunity that is like you're targeting something that that person really loves. And that's where you want to get. Now, going a step back is that we are all fighting for the same. And we are fighting for two things. We are fighting for the amount of time that you can spend on those devices. And on the other hand, we are fighting for your buying power. And it's limited, okay? So the time that you spend and the buying power, that's where we want to get. We want a piece of both. Now, everybody is basically struggling to get a piece, right, of both of that puzzle, right? But the issue is you can only get a fair piece if you really target quite well, okay? And I would say it's like the same. If somebody which is a startup and likes to fundraise, right? He needs to fund and he goes out to fundraise. It's more or less the same issue. So if you're going out to talk with everybody, right, you lose a lot of time. And probably before you get those funds, it takes an ages. If you target the right investor and you screen it, right, then probably you target the right investor very fast. So this is a different perspective, but at the end, it has the same goal. It doesn't matter if you target an investor to raise funds or if you target somebody that you want to sell an ice cream to, right? So if she doesn't like ice cream or he doesn't like ice cream, you're losing your time. So, okay, so this is where I see the opportunity. We are working on this now for a couple of years. It's not an easy task, I can tell you that. But in essence, it's the lesson that we learned is that without AI, machine learning, okay, in essence, essentially those two, it's completely impossible to get a task done. You cannot do these things like by human power by itself. Sure, you can create those algorithms, but even those algorithms today, they need to be redone by machines. I experienced this week something very interesting. We were targeting for somebody, doesn't matter, an app, and checking, right, which target price people will pick it up. And we did it for $2.99, $3.99, and $4.99. Okay. And the most exciting was that the app that was targeted $4.99, right, was the highest sold, the same app, compared to a $2.99 price. So how can you explain that people pick up faster a $4.99 app in that case than they pick up an app which is like $2 cheaper and they don't pick it up? Now, and this has to do with human behavior and human mindset. And I would leave it like that.
Absolutely. And that's why understanding of psychology is still so important. We still have so much to learn and understand the behavior of people, right? It's so true about the price. Often people look and there's something of the value that makes them feel that they're getting something very nice, right? Like if it's too cheap, does that really provide value? And so anyhow, I love the psychology and the buying power and what you said about time and spending power is just so perfect. I think everybody should really understand that. Every company should understand that that's what they must look at for sure. And Nicole, what about you? What kind of opportunities are you seeing that are most available that would encourage other investors to is there something specific you have, or maybe something general?
Yeah, I'm seeing with a lot of the female entrepreneurs that where we're looking at their businesses, they're taking a social and environmental impact approach without us even requiring that to be the case. I think it's connected to the kind of the nurturing nature and community-oriented nature of a lot of the female entrepreneurs. I'm not going to say it's exclusive to female entrepreneurs, because of course it's not. But things, in across a number of different industries. But what we're seeing is that understanding of impact on other, right? And so it's really neat to see that. And with our fund, How Women Invest, we just successfully in 4 months did our first close, and then you'll see us announce our fund close very, very soon, completely. But that, and so we're just making our first investments, but we've already looked at 150 different companies and have invested in one company, which we'll announce soon, and then are close on another one. But it's very much an ecosystem, leveraging AI and machine learning and advancing technologies in agriculture, healthcare. It's just quite inspirational, and I really appreciate how these entrepreneurs are just navigating, and predominantly these are women of color. And that's one of the things I'm also quite proud of, is the diversity of our fund, where the LPs are predominantly women of color. And we're finding that, is female founders and leaders of color, they're really they're ideal entrepreneurs in the sense that they're really working very hard and connecting in networks and communities. And then what's also kind of interesting about the approach of the fund is that we're tied to the How Women Lead organization. And that organization is 13,000 women, and they are all tied into and want to see the success of these companies that are funded through How Women Invest. And so you have this built-in partnerships and customer base, and just a way of really leveraging that network and community in a meaningful way for the entrepreneurs and investors. And that's where Lubna, the course, is via How Women Invest and How Women Lead, and angel investing course. So yeah, just joining in community. And for those entrepreneurs out there that are female founded, we really want to take a look at your businesses. And always a good way to stay in touch with me is on LinkedIn.
Would you like to share the name of the portfolio company that you just recently acquired, or it's not available yet?
I'm not going to announce that quite yet.
Okay.
It's going to come with the fund close announcement, but that's just imminent.
Okay.
It's just
whenever you're ready. We're here, and we would love for our viewers and for other investors as well that are here, to hear and learn more about that. So I love that, because in community, then we can all support those portfolio companies for Sunmeet, Jose, Lubna. Absolutely. And, I think one of the important responsibilities too of staying connected, especially for investors, is exactly that, is that the deal flow. And the deal flow is something that surprisingly to many is something that is not in existence. Unless you already have established deal flow, it's not something that investors naturally reach within each other. And I think that that's kind of like one of the biggest opportunities we have right now, is to say, you know what, let's actually share the deal flow with each other. Even if we passed on a deal that wasn't for us, it doesn't mean that it's not there, because in the end of the day, as we're getting better analytics, as we're getting better technology to be able to even, apply AI to analytics of a deal flow, we can be more effective in our journey of empowering innovation and entrepreneurship. And I believe that investors empower the spirit of freedom of expression of that which is not there to become a reality. That's what entrepreneurs do, and investors are really crucial seed. It's the water and the nutrients that is required to grow that plant. So, and for that we must have a deal flow. So whenever you're ready, we'll be happy to see it, and maybe they could even pitch sometime as well. And last but not least, Lubna, what about you? Is there something specific you would like to share, or something in general? What are the best opportunities right now for the investors?
Well, I think the best opportunity, I think, for the investors right now is to start looking at regenerative investing and investing in organizations, companies, startups, thinking that is that supports stakeholders rather than just shareholder thinking, partnerism rather than dominationism, not to say one thing or the other. But I think, to keep it to the content of this today's session, I think advertising and how advertising is used, and what technologies that we might apply to change the way advertising is used. I think advertising is in a position as an industry because it is the voice of the brand, so that is a great opportunity to change the way advertising is. And I think it's very overdue. And I think it has to become more contextually relevant, culturally relevant, and preserving. There is a lot of power at the hands of marketers, and we can begin to influence in the direction of well-being. So I think the industry itself is changing, and how it's being used is changing. I think that goes together with retail, actually, because I think what is traditionally the publishing platform, or whether it be advertising in a banner or a billboard or a commercial, needs to be reconsidered. And we're looking at more interesting, where you are placing the innovation at the hands of the consumer, so that it becomes more of a pull rather than a push. And if in collaboration and partnerships between the brands, the venues, and the technology, then people will, rather than being hyper targeted, they'll be self-targeting and self-selecting by identifying the brands they are relate to, and talking about the emotional intelligence that's applied. So I think we can go in either direction, but having more ladies like yourselves and more investors like you two gentlemen, I think I sincerely believe we have an opportunity to be in a place where transcendental meditation and well-being is at the heart of society, and not just how much more we can have from each other. So thank you so much for hosting this today. It was really a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely, and it's such a pleasure to meet you. Co-creation and conscious economics and conscious design, I think, is the era that we're living through. We finally understand that we can do better when we work together. Those that trade, those do not fight. And we have the information, we have the sharing. Sure, there's many problems associated with the current reality, but I do believe that together we are now living in a world to where we can create better reality, not just the future, because future never comes, but better reality right now. And that's exactly what we're doing. Every single time we are speaking on VCTV. That is one of the common denominators across different topics, across different speakers, that we are actually at the point where we care about these things. And that's so beautiful. So with that, we're now at a time. So really quickly, Lubna, could you please share what's the best way for viewers to contact you?
Thank you. So I'm just Lubna Dajani at LinkedIn. I know Lubna Dajani at Gmail, but / Lubna Dajani at Lubna Dajani. I've been around long enough. I have Lubna Dajani.
Thank you so much. And Sanmeet, what about you? What's the best way to get hold of you?
Best way is to connect with me on LinkedIn. And you can also message me through the website, grotto.com. But best is to connect on LinkedIn.
Sounds great. And Jose, what about you?
Well, you can find me always on LinkedIn, which is Jose Grasa. And if you cannot find me on that name, then just put in Bizmoney, Bizmone. And certainly you will find me there. Or you can just go to VCTV, which is as an area for everybody who is here on. And you can click on VCTV and request a connection. So that's another alternative. My last round thought, I'll just give 1 minute to that. I think it's a very important issue, is that our lives today, right, go very fast. And we only have this amount of time available, and you only have one life. The problem is, and I feel that personally every day, is that there's so much you want to do in this life. And there's so much you would like to do in those hours that you have every day. And every day it's just too short. But the only way we will overcome that is by letting machines do the hard work while we just enjoy and make the decisions. And that's where the big opportunity will lie in the next 20 years. And I will leave it like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And interestingly, the technology allows us, there's a quantum project, it's called Quantum Machines, and they have a patent, they've tested it, but basically they can make this device that spins gravity. I don't know, I'm not a technologist, but basically the idea is that you can, if you lay in bed, you can rest faster because it works something different with the space and time. So I don't know how much better to explain it, but the technology is getting to that too, to where we can kind of slow down or speed up our experience with the time itself, and that's going to be exciting. And Nicole, what's the best way to get hold of you?
Yeah, well, it depends on what hat you'd like me to be wearing when you're reaching out, but always a good way is on LinkedIn. But also my marketing strategy firm, Outfront.Solutions. That's where a lot of our thought leadership is housed, and we're sharing from there. And then with my investment hat, it's HowWomenInvest.com, and that's where entrepreneurs can go and see if you fit our investment criteria, and let's have a conversation there. But I really look forward to staying in touch with people. And I ask that if you did see me on VCTV or you're connecting that way, if you could mention that when you reach out to connect with me. That's really helpful to me because I get a lot of requests, as you can imagine. And I want to be thoughtful about how it is that we've connected, even if it's virtually this way. So thank you so much to everybody on the panel and for having me today, Irina.
And it's such a pleasure to see you again. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you and the rest of you dear speakers on the next panel, where we get a chance for Kyle to be our host. We love you, Kyle, so much. You're just brilliant and you're an inspiration. And thank you for taking your time. Thank you for continuing coming back and being part of this and continuing the conversation. That's the beauty of VCTV. Personally, for me, is that every single time our conversation advances, it's not the same things we repeat, because the life keeps going faster and faster and faster, and it's so exciting, and we are here and we're connecting, and that's so beautiful. So thank you, VCTV, for doing this, for creating this global platform for us to have the voice, to connect, to co-create, and for empowering entrepreneurs too to come out and pitch. And entrepreneurs, pitch, apply for pitch. Just send your deck, make sure it's nice and sweet. 3 minutes pitch would make amazing progress for you, right? And please pitch, pitch, pitch. Don't wait to be perfect, because the time, the future, the perfect will never ever come. Just show us what you have right now, and we would be grateful to see it, and we'll give you the advice. And viewers, please follow. And remember, if you want to get hold of any speakers that speak on VCTV, all you need to do is go on that website, on LATOKEN website, and our profiles are there. We're always open. And I appreciated that, Nicole, you said that make that relevant. What is the point of the contact that you actually have for us? And know that the reason we are here speaking is because our goal is support you, entrepreneur, in your journey to creating that which you desire to make real. And so that's why we're here. That's why we contribute our time. And so we value you, we respect you, and we appreciate you. And with that, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you soon.